Hello, and welcome to Sharp Love Story. Here we share powerful stories of love and the emotional journeys that lead to healing. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Let's explore the beauty and strength of human emotions together. He requested a divorce in front of everyone, assuming he'd come out on top. My boyfriend Aaron took me on a trip during my vacation, but he disappeared while I was in the bathroom. I called him anxiously, but no one answered. I turned around and saw that his neighbor's sister had just updated her moments. She was smiling like a flower in front of the camera. The man next to her only showed his hand holding an ice cream. He was wearing a couple ring I personally selected. The caption was, "You said at the beginning that no matter where you are, you'll be by my side at the first time. Loving someone should be like this." My heart sank, and I silently replied, "You are so invincible in love. Just get married where you are." It was 39 degrees outside. I was sitting in a taxi looking at her moments and felt freezing cold. I couldn't figure out just now. What on earth was he thinking that would leave me alone in this strange place? After seeing her moments, I suddenly understood, because more important people appeared. My situation became irrelevant. Thinking of this, I felt like something was stuck in my throat, and I felt very uncomfortable. The driver glanced at me through the rearview mirror and reminded me carefully, "Little girl, there is paper behind the backrest. Please wipe it." I paused when I heard his reminder. I pulled the paper in front of me and wiped the hair that was soaked with sweat and stuck to my cheek. Then he said sullenly, "Thank you, but you don't need to take me to the hotel. Just go to the airport since they love each other. I will help them. It's better not to have a relationship that is forced." At the airport, I refunded my return ticket. I spent a lot of money to buy the next flight ticket. When I got home, it was already dark. I was exhausted from running all the way. After washing up, I muted my phone and went to bed. I thought I would be too uncomfortable to sleep, but I didn't expect that I fell asleep as soon as I touched the bed, so I didn't notice the phone on the bedside table that was on and off. When I woke up the next day, I noticed that Aaron had made a lot of calls, but there were very few messages. I glanced over. I realized that his words were full of questions, and there was no concern at all. I sneered. I deliberately skipped his message and sent a message. "Let's break up." After breakfast, I went to the company to cancel my leave. For this trip, I even took annual leave. Now it seems that it is really a waste of time. I returned to my workstation and the colleague next to me asked, "Didn't you go on a trip with your boyfriend? Why did you come back after just one day? There was nothing fun, so I came back." Matters of love are private matters. There is no need to tell colleagues everything. I perfunctorily said a few words, and she probably saw that I didn't want to mention it, so she didn't ask again. But at noon, Aaron called again. I didn't want to answer, but I saw the message he sent 3 minutes ago. He said, "I'm downstairs in your company. Come down and talk." Seeing this message, I thought about it. It's not impossible to break up in person. Simply, I went downstairs to meet him. Aaron drove here, and I saw his car when I walked out of the company. Paused for a while and walked over. I didn't get in the car, he said calmly, "What's up, mister?" Aaron, hearing my name, his eyebrows frowned a little. His indifferent eyes swept over me, and he said in a lukewarm tone, "Get in the car. I don't have much time for lunch break at noon. Just talk here if you have anything." "Narita, what are you making a fuss about?" There was a hint of anger in his eyes, and the look he gave me was not friendly. "Do you know how much time I wasted looking for you yesterday?" I looked at him with an indifferent expression. "Aaron, it was you who suddenly disappeared yesterday. What right do you have to question me in this tone when I mention this matter?" There was a subtle flash of guilt in his eyes, and he reacted and looked at me with frowns. I encountered an important matter at the time, and I was in a hurry to deal with it. "So, I didn't tell you in time. You are an adult. Don't you have the ability to take care of yourself? Do you have to have me around? This is really funny. I am an adult. I should be able to take care of myself. What about Lily? Is she mentally or can't take care of herself?" My breath got stuck in my throat, and I couldn't help laughing. My boyfriend was courting another woman without my knowledge and finally blamed me for being ignorant. "Aaron, what do you think I am? A pastime when you're bored, or a fool who is fooled casually. Aaron was stunned for a moment, and then he realized why I was angry. He said impatiently, "It's not safe to travel alone now. She's so young. If something happens, who will take the responsibility? It's not safe to travel alone, but they can leave me alone in a strange place." Looking at the familiar face in front of me, I suddenly felt a little strange. I suppressed the surging sour emotions and said solemnly, "So, I fulfilled your wish and let you be responsible for her at any time. What else are you dissatisfied with?" Aaron was so angry that he laughed, and the color of his eyes deepened a little. He took a deep breath. Seeing this, I continued, "I'm serious about breaking up. Don't contact me again in the future." After saying this, I went back to the company. I sat back at my workstation, and my mind was clear for a moment. Although I said I wanted to let him go, how could I let go of a relationship of 4 years? I felt so depressed that I couldn't breathe. I looked at my phone and deleted all his contact information. Doing this seemed to make me feel better. Looking back, I was the one who proposed the breakup, not him. I also kept my dignity. After get off work in the evening, I contacted my bestie to come to my house for a drink. After she came, she asked, "Didn't you go on a trip with Aaron? Why did you come back so soon?" I heard the same thing more than 2 or 3 times today. Suddenly, I remembered the scene of me happily sharing my joy with them before going on a trip. I didn't think about it at that time. How happy I was at that time, how sad I am now. I opened the beer bottle, took 2 gulps, and said calmly, "We broke up." She widened her eyes in shock. "Really? Why so suddenly?" Aaron and I met on a blind date. We got along for a while before choosing to be together. He is a few years older than me and more mature than me in every aspect. He is very tolerant of me. At work, he taught me everything I didn't understand. He taught me how to behave and how to handle work reasonably and effectively. He would also tell me when I was tired, "You don't have to work too hard. I'll take care of everything." People around him, including me, felt that I was lucky to meet him. However, after Lily returned to China, everything changed. Because of this, I was not surprised when Grace spoke in shock. "It's not sudden. I had this idea before, but I just implemented it this time." This incident was at most a fuse. It made me completely recognize the facts. It made me determined to choose to stop the loss in time. After all, this was not the first time Lily did this. She likes to compare with me very much and always makes small moves to test her position in Aaron's heart. When we dated, she would find excuses for Aaron to go to her. Even the tie I chose for him would be easily replaced by her on the grounds that it was not suitable. I quarreled with Aaron several times because of this. He always said she is young and naive. Why do you care so much about her? But he forgot. Lily and I are the same age. We are both new people. Why should I always give in to her? The more I thought about it, the more uncomfortable I felt. I gulped down the wine in the glass. Grace patted my shoulder and comforted me. "It's not too late to break up now. If you regret it after you get married, you will have more things to worry about. It's good to stop the loss in time. It's really good. It's just that I'm used to living with him. Now I'm suddenly separated from him, which is inevitable." Tonight, Grace and I had a good fight. We didn't stop until we were both exhausted. So much, so that I was almost late for work the next day. I hurried to the company. Before I could catch my breath, the boss's assistant came to me. She looked at me and said, "Narita, Aaron's company specifically wants to change the designer. If you are free, take someone to their company to inspect it this afternoon." I was stunned when I heard this. Aaron had said a long time ago that their company wanted to change the interior style. At that time, I volunteered to take this order. I specifically went to him to tell him about this, but he said if you have the ability, you can fight for it yourself without me giving it to you. He wanted me to compete with others. At that time, I thought this was a way for him to train me. I gladly accepted it. But later I had been busy for several nights and had no chance to show the plan. The person in charge was decided internally. How can I change someone now? I raised the question. The boss's assistant rolled his eyes at me and sneered. Who knows? With that she turned and left. She did not hide her contempt for me. That means she knew the inside information. I gathered my spirits and went to find the boss. I wanted to tell him that I refused to take this order. But as soon as I walked in, I saw him smiling and saying, "Narita, this cooperation is related to your future promotion. You have to treat it well." Isn't he using the promotion to warn me? I took a deep breath and said, "Is this your decision?" "How is it possible?" "It's Mr. Aaron's decision." The boss raised his eyebrows at me with an unspeakable look. I suddenly felt uncomfortable. Didn't he say that public and private affairs should be clearly separated? What does this mean? This project fell on my head, and for the development of the team members, I had to accept it. In the afternoon, I took an assistant to Aaron's company. When I came, Aaron was still in a meeting. Lily entertained us. When she saw me, she put on an ugly fake smile on her face. "Narita, Aaron is still busy. You came to see him during working hours. Is there something important?" I looked at her coldly and said mercilessly, "Nothing important. Do you think I really want to see you?" Her face changed suddenly, and the fake smile on her face could not be maintained. "You." She didn't finish her words. Aaron walked out of the conference room. He was not surprised that I would appear here. He said calmly, "Let's talk in my office. To be honest, I really don't want to see them. But he is now the first party of our company." I took a deep breath and walked over. Lily smiled and said gently, "Aaron, what do you want to drink?" "I'll prepare it for you." "No need," Aaron said without any pause. She refused and looked at me again. I glanced at her coldly and said indifferently, 3 parts of sugar, black coffee, and boiled water." She didn't seem to expect that I would respond to her words without hesitation. The smile on his face was a bit stiff, but he nodded, "Okay, wait a minute, I didn't say anything." I turned my head and looked forward. But I noticed the disapproval and worry in Aaron's eyes. Even when he walked into the office, he looked back. The assistant also noticed this and quietly turned his head to whisper in my ear. Aaron and his secretary have a special relationship. Could they be boyfriend and girlfriend? Hearing this, I sneered in my heart. Anyone who has seen them get along can see something unusual. He insisted that there was nothing between him and Lily. Always like to treat people as fools. Fortunately, I see through it all. I won't be fooled by others as fools again. Aaron gave me the company's previous construction drawings. It allows me to see the entire layout clearly. I was about to receive the drawings, but he said, "This is our company's confidential information. It's better to send an electronic file." At a friend, I had blocked him a long time ago, and it's self-evident what he wants to do now. I looked at him coldly and didn't move. The assistant came and pulled my sleeve and whispered, "Narita, Aaron is talking to you." Hearing her words, I reluctantly added him back as a friend. Aaron's tense expression also relaxed, but at this moment a scream suddenly came from outside the door. He, who had just been calm, suddenly changed his expression, stood up and ran out. The assistant and I followed him out. However, when we walked towards the source of the sound, we saw Lily sitting next to the broken coffee cup in a mess. Her white shirt was stained with black coffee. Her ankle was also cut by broken glass, leaving bright bloodstains. Aaron's face was solemn. He quickly took off his coat and put it on her body, gently caressing her. "Don't be afraid. I'll take you to the hospital right now." Lily's eyes were wet with guilt, but Narita wants to drink coffee. I haven't made it yet. Hearing her say this, Aaron's eyes, with a little anger, suddenly shot towards me. He didn't say anything, but the complaints in his eyes were so obvious. He was blaming me for letting Lily pour me coffee. Realizing this, my heart suddenly hurt. "Aaron, put me down. This little thing won't be a problem. I'd better hurry up and make coffee for Narita. She has hands and feet. Don't worry about her." Aaron's face was completely cold, and he said in a cold voice. But Lily, lying in his arms, showed a victorious smile. "Aaron, don't be angry with Narita. This is all my fault. Don't let me hurt your relationship." Aaron's face was solemn, and he said solemnly, "Narita, apologize." I met their eyes and said calmly, "Aaron, don't you know whose fault this is? You have time to be incompetent and furious here. Why not take Secretary Lily to the hospital as soon as possible? Otherwise, the wound will heal. Aaron glanced at me unhappily. You go back first, and we'll talk later if there's anything. I don't want to stay in this smoky place. After he said that, I left with the assistant. Walking out of Aaron's company, the assistant kept saying, Narita, why do I feel that you are so domineering just now? On the contrary, Secretary Lily is also A. As a secretary, isn't it her essential job to serve tea and water? It's too shameless to push it onto you when something happened. Hearing this, I snorted coldly. She only has this ability.
I didn't care about them.
Apart from work matters, I tried my best to avoid contact with Aaron. But I didn't expect that he would come to my house, looking at the tall and handsome man standing in front of the door. I frowned. What are you doing here? I met their gazes and said calmly, Aaron, don't you know whose fault this is? If you have time to be so incompetent and furious, you might as well take Secretary Lily to the hospital as soon as possible. Otherwise, the wound will heal. Aaron glanced at me unhappily and said you go back first, and we'll talk later if there's anything. I don't want to stay in this smoky place. After he said that, I left with the assistant. After leaving Aaron's company, the assistant kept saying, Narita, why do I feel that you were so domineering just now? On the contrary, Secretary Lily is also A. As a secretary, isn't it her essential job to serve tea and water? It's too shameless to push it onto you when something went wrong. Hearing this, I snorted coldly. She only has this ability. I didn't bother with them. Apart from work matters. I tried my best to avoid contact with Aaron, but I didn't expect that he would come to my house. Looking at the tall and handsome man standing in front of the door, I frowned. What are you doing here? His eyebrows moved slightly, with a little apology in his eyes. I'm here to apologize for what happened before. I was stunned for a moment and didn't react to what he was talking about.
What are you talking about?
Aaron looked a little unnatural. He coughed lightly and said last time Lily was injured. I was emotional at the time, and I didn't notice that this matter had nothing to do with you.
So
You come to me to apologize?
I'm really sorry.
I don't accept it. He seemed to have expected me to say this and handed me a beautifully wrapped gift box. Narita, I know I was wrong about this. I apologize to you. This is the bag you wanted. I asked someone to bring it back. Aaron frowned slightly when he saw that I didn't move. Narita, why are you still angry? I didn't show any emotion on my face. I looked at him coldly. Aaron, have you forgotten that we have broken up? Our current relationship is just Party A and Party B. You are overstepping the boundaries by doing this. Seeing that I was not moved by his soft and hard words, Aaron became a little impatient. He said in a heavier tone, Can you just say what you want to say? Do you have to be so angry? Isn't what I said clear enough? Don't make a fuss. I only treat Lily as a sister. Why do you have to be so upset with her? I laughed angrily and said sarcastically, Yes, first a friend, then a sister, and finally a little baby. Isn't that your sister? Aaron was angry and left. I went home and made some food after washing up. I started to browse the circle of friends while solving dinner. However, a post 20 minutes ago caught my attention. It was posted by Lily. She posted a bag exactly the same as the one Aaron wanted to give me just now, she said. Aaron is so careless. He has already given me this bag, and he gave me another one today. I am angry. I was immediately amused. I also felt sad for the 4 years of hard work. I silently blocked Lily's contact information. I completely removed them from my life. I thought that in this way he would not bother me again, but I was still too naive. Our company has a close cooperative relationship with him. In addition, I have taken over the cooperation with him now. I can't avoid dealing with him on weekdays after the 5th design rejection. I couldn't bear it anymore. I contacted Aaron directly, but he asked me to talk in detail in the restaurant after get off work. I didn't want to go, but I thought that this matter must be dealt with, so I went. There was a traffic jam on the way home from get off work. When I arrived, it was already 20 minutes later than the agreed time. I told the waiter the box number, and someone led me there. Unexpectedly, when I walked in, I saw Lily eating at a glance. She was obviously stunned when she saw me coming, and then she quickly apologized. Sorry, Narita, I thought you were not coming. So I started eating early. You won't be angry, right? Before I said anything, Aaron spoke first. One won't care about such a small matter in the past. I would care. But now, he is right, I really won't care. After all, it has nothing to do with me. Aaron, I came here to talk to you about design. Before he finished speaking, he turned the table and a plate of sweet and sour pork ribs that looked mouth-watering stopped in front of me. The plating was beautiful and the color was crystal clear. It was just a pity that this was what others had left. This is the sweet and sour pork ribs you like. Eat first and talk after eating. Looking at the dishes I usually like in front of me, I glanced at Lily, who had stopped eating. Suddenly, I felt that I had lost my appetite. I shook my head slightly and said I don't like to eat other people's leftovers. Let's talk about business first. Aaron's face changed, and he waved to the waiter. According to these dishes, bring another serving. No, I have no appetite. I didn't want to stay any longer. I just wanted to deal with important things quickly and leave. Seeing this, Lily's shrewd eyes revealed some caution. Narita, aren't you still angry? Aaron, you should apologize to Narita quickly. Girls need to be coaxed. Aaron was stunned for a moment and looked at me, with his thin lips tightly pursed. Narita, I have told you very clearly that I was wrong about the previous things, and I just treat Lily as a sister. You really don't need to care about her. Just a few words made Lily pale. She bit her thin lips lightly, and her hands seemed to be shaking. I raised my eyebrows, folded my hands, and watched the scene quietly. Narita, Sorry, I suddenly feel a little uncomfortable. Aaron, I'll leave first. Lily suddenly stood up, looking like she was about to cry. She said this with red eyes, picked up her bag, and ran out. Aaron's face was obviously flustered and entangled. I sneered. Why don't you chase him out? If something happens... Before I finished speaking, he rushed out like the wind. It took only a few seconds. I was the only one left in the huge box. I calmed down and poured a glass of corn juice. The corn juice tasted good, sweet, but not greasy. I just don't know why, but I felt a little bitter. I took a deep breath. Just as I was about to stand up, the phone in my bag suddenly rang. It was a call from my boss. I hesitated for a moment, but chose to answer it. As soon as I picked up the phone, the boss's loud voice came from the other end of the phone. He was merciless and shouted loudly, I'll give you 2 more days. If you can't decide on a plan, don't blame me for not keeping you. Hearing his words, I suddenly felt particularly irritated. I have made plans according to the types Aaron usually likes, but he is still not satisfied. Every time he talks, he will change the subject. No wonder the person in charge of this project stayed here for a long time, but didn't get the plan. It's just throwing a hot potato to me. I perfunctorily responded with a few words. I turned around and left with my bag. But I stopped when I walked out of the restaurant. Not far away, Lily was leaning in Aaron's arms and sobbing softly. He lowered his head and gently soothed me. Don't cry, I will never say that again, okay? He looked helpless and gentle. But there was no impatience. Looking at the scene not far away, I remembered what the boss said. It was really disgusting. I felt more and more irritated. I walked to the roadside with a cold face to get a taxi, but I happened to walk past them. Aaron was stunned when he saw me. He subconsciously pushed her away and kept a distance from her. He turned with some panic. Narita, are you leaving? I turned around and sneered otherwise. Go and get a room for you two before leaving? Aaron's face sank when he heard this. This is not funny at all. Don't make such jokes in the future, I sneered. Whether it is a joke or not, you know it in your heart. After that, an empty car just drove over. I waved and was about to get in the car, but he grabbed my hand. My car is nearby. I'll take you home. Get lost. I lost my good face and shook off his hand. I looked at him with disgust. Aaron, you really make me sick. He wanted to pull me, but Lily found the right opportunity to grab his arm. She said weakly, Aaron, I feel dizzy. I don't know if I have a fever. Hearing her say that, Aaron's nerves tensed up again. Come on, I'll take you to the hospital. I quickly helped her walk towards the car. I looked at the scene in front of me coldly and asked the driver to drive away. When I got home, I didn't have time to drink a sip of water. I saw the message from Grace. She said, "I just got a good news. Brother Adam has opened a new company. He is now actively recruiting elites. Didn't you say that you can't stay in your current company anymore? Why don't you try your senior?" The Adam she was talking about was my direct senior. Adam helped me a lot when I was in school. Even the company I'm in now was recommended by him. I didn't expect that he would actually start his own company. The boss's attitude flashed through my mind, and I began to hesitate. It is said that if you offend the boss, there is basically no possibility of promotion in this company. My ambition is not to be an ordinary interior designer. I did not respond to her immediately, but said to think about it. Job hopping is a very serious matter and cannot be treated casually. The next day, I came to the company early. I wanted to discuss a new round of plans with the assistant. She first took me to the bathroom and whispered, "I heard that the company is going to lay off employees. People who have not achieved results this month will be easily eliminated." "Maybe I am among the eliminated personnel," she said with a sad face. I was shocked. I had never heard of this before. "Where did you hear about this?" "Everyone in the employee group is talking about this." She was a little entangled. "There is something I don't know whether I should tell you. You tell me." I heard from the people in Group 1 that the reason why the cooperation with Pays fell on us was because the boss personally went to Aaron's company and said something, and he specially recommended us. This is a clue. The company is going to lay off employees, and the plan of Group 1 has been dragged on until now, and if layoffs are going to happen, their group may be selected into the list. And the leader of Group 1 is the sister of the boss's wife, and he can't let her leave. So we have to take the blame. He said last time that this was Aaron's arrangement. I felt something was wrong. I didn't expect that I was right. I returned to my workstation with this worry. After thinking about it, I still felt that I should talk to the boss. So, I went directly to the boss's office. But before I could walk in, I heard a familiar voice coming from inside. "We can't change people to be responsible for this matter. Let Narita come. She is too impetuous now, and she should be punished appropriately. Mr. Aaron is right. If Narita knew that Mr. Aaron cared so much about her, she would definitely be grateful. However, if their team fails to complete the task, they may be. These should not be difficult for Mr.
Jean to solve, right?"
Hearing their words, I suddenly felt cold under my feet. What do you mean I am too impetuous and should be punished appropriately? I worked hard to prove myself. But a few casual words from them made all my efforts come to nothing. At this moment, I understood before I had no ability. My life was not decided by me. It was these abominable capital. I sneered and took out my phone to contact Adam. Adam was indeed recruiting. After hearing that I wanted to change jobs, he was stunned for a moment and said with a smile, "I thought it would take some time to recruit you, but I didn't expect to win you over so quickly." He posted 5 or 6 moments a day, and they were all recruitment information. Which boss would do such a boring thing? "It's nothing more than testing my reaction," I smiled and said because I thought about it. I was being whipped by the capitalists anyway, so I might as well find someone I can trust. At least I can have a candy before being whipped. Adam heard this and laughed through the phone. He said, "Okay, you're always welcome here." After discussing this, I submitted my resignation to my superiors. Next, I waited for the approval from the upper level, but I didn't expect that Aaron would soon know about my resignation. He found me and asked me the reason. I looked at this familiar yet strange face in front of me and said indifferently, "Are you the only one allowed to plot against me and I can't escape?" "Aaron, who do you think you are?" Aaron froze, looked at me in shock, and said stiffly, "I didn't plot against you now. You specifically asked me to be responsible for the company's cooperation. You clearly knew that I had a chance of promotion, but you deliberately assigned me this job and refuted my design again and again, making my work stagnant. Seeing me go to you again and again, you are very proud, right? But have you ever thought that this incident only impressed me with my promotion while my team members face the risk of being laid off? This really makes me feel that those of us who work hard are insignificant toys in the hands of these people. If you are happy, give me a candy. If you are unhappy, who are you?" "Aaron, You're so selfish and disgusting. It's okay to be indecisive in your relationship. He is so calculating in other aspects. Such a person is really terrible, but I am also glad. I am glad that I didn't continue to be stupid and pulled away in time. No, Narita, I am thinking about you. If you don't like this approach, I won't do it again in the future. His face was a little pale, and he tried his best to explain. He reached out to pull me, but I directly avoided him. I took a step back and kept a distance from him. Aaron, don't bother me anymore. We have broken up, Narita. I love you. Let's not break up, okay? Aaron panicked, and he begged in his eyes. I hope I can change my mind. But, Miss, no one will stay where they are. Do you believe what you said? Every time you have to choose between me and Lily, you always choose her. Do you really know what love is? Aaron's face turned pale, and he explained palely. There is really nothing between Lily and me. If I really have something with her, I will not be with you. This is really ridiculous. I am really tired and don't want to tangle with him anymore. Okay, you can just lie to yourself about these words. Don't come again. You are not welcome here. As I said, I opened the door and walked in. I completely isolated him outside the door. The company was going to lay off employees. Now someone took the initiative to resign, and they were happy to do so. Therefore, the resignation procedures were handled quickly. Thinking that there was still some time, I went to Adam's company after completing the resignation procedures. I bought some small desserts on the way. There are not many employees in his company now, but they are all seniors in my college club. We all know each other. So when they saw me coming, they all expressed a warm welcome. Adam personally took me to handle the entry procedures. Seeing how reliable he was, I couldn't help but tease him. I was quite nervous on the way here, but now that I see your efficiency, I feel relaxed. His handsome face was full of smiles. Thank you for the compliment, but don't worry, I will definitely not let you down. Adam has strong leadership skills and is also very good at dealing with people. I received a lot of help from him when I was in school. I feel at ease following him. The new company is a little far from my home. It takes at least 2 hours to get there from my home during the morning rush hour. In order to reduce commuting time, I can only choose to move. Fortunately, the rent is about to expire. It's not a loss to move now. With this idea, I started looking for a new address. When Adam knew about this, he said there is an empty house opposite my house. Do you want to go and have a look? I was worried about not being able to find a suitable house, and when I heard this, I agreed again and again. He took me to see it. It has 2 bedrooms and 1 living room, simple decoration, and everything. You can move in at any time. This way I can save a lot of trouble. After comparing the cost-effectiveness, I chose the house he introduced. On the weekend, I contacted the moving company to help with the move. Unexpectedly, Adam also came. I was dumbfounded when I saw him. Senior, why are you here? Moving is hard work. I thought it would be inconvenient for you as a girl to do it, so I came to help and watch it. Since he came, I couldn't drive him away. I simply accepted his help and thought about treating him to a meal after the move. With him around, moving became easier. After watching the workers finally load the things into the car and drive away, I was about to ask him to have a meal. I heard a familiar voice not far away. Narita. I looked in the direction of the sound, and Aaron was staring at me with a handbag. He strode towards me, looking at Adam with hostility in his eyes. He gritted his teeth and said, "Who are you?" Adam faced it calmly, Narita's friend.
Who are you?
I am her. Enough. Aaron, what are you doing here? I looked at him impatiently with a bad tone. Aaron clenched his fist, then loosened it. Isn't your birthday coming up? I'm here to give you a gift. He was cautious in his words, no longer confident as before. I don't need it. Go back. He wanted to grab me, but Adam was 1 step faster than him and stood in front of him. Didn't you hear what she said? You can go back. Who do you think you are?
Get out.
Aaron roared loudly, with visible anger on his face. I was afraid that the 2 of them would fight and make a fool of themselves. I quickly walked over and grabbed Adam's sleeve and whispered, "Senior, let's go." Adam's tense face relaxed and nodded. Aaron panicked and said quickly, "Narita, Can you give me another chance? Let's talk it out. I didn't even turn my head and said bluntly, there's nothing to talk about between us. Let's part ways amicably. Don't make it too ugly. Aaron was really panicked now, he said loudly. I didn't mean to favor Lily. She was bullied before and became very timid. She can't stand people getting close to her and can't be stimulated. I'm afraid she'll be upset, so I'm always worried about her. I really don't have any feelings for her, Narita. I know I was wrong. Can you give me another chance? He said seriously. I can also take these things as facts. But no matter what, this can't be the reason why he abandoned me for her again and again before. People change, and so do feelings. I looked back at him and said solemnly, Aaron, it's too late for you to say these things now. I won't stay here and wait for you, not now and not in the future, so let's say goodbye. When Aaron heard this, he was like an eggplant hit by frost, and he completely lost his spirit. I ignored him and turned around and left with Adam. Adam is very responsible for the company and is also very good to us employees. With his help, I learned a lot. The former assistant heard that we were recruiting people here. Unable to bear the oppression of the original company, she also came here. She is still my assistant. My life is getting better and better, and I gradually forgot about those troubles. Until later, Adam inadvertently talked to me about Aaron. He said Aaron's company has undergone a major overhaul. He changed his secretary and acquired the company you worked for before. I heard that he is now asking around about the location of your new home. Do you want me to tell him about it? Adam said this with a playful tone, but if you look closely, you can see a little nervousness. I cut the steak slowly. I said calmly, he and I have already ended. People should look forward, not ask about the past, but only look to the future. Mr. Fu, don't you understand this principle? Adam looked at me and laughed. I am the master of my own life. No one is qualified to interfere.